A cold autumn wind howled through the bare branches of the trees. The sound was mournful, and it seemed to speak of death. It mirrored the heavy thumping of old Tom's heart as he made his way through the underbrush. Tom had been an old dog for a long time now. His brown eyes, cloudy with age, blinked slowly as he tried to pierce the gloom of the approaching twilight. His joints ached, and his legs were stiff from years of loyal service. He couldn't remember how many years he'd spent serving his master, John, or how many adventures they'd shared. Time had blurred all those memories together, and they swam before his eyes like fish in a stream. But he did remember that his master was gone now, called away by the grim reaper, while Tom slept peacefully by his side. The house was silent. The door to his favorite room stood open, invitingly, yet something inside him, something deep in his soul, told him he should not enter. He whined softly, dropping his head to the floor. His ears drooped. How could he go on living when the one he loved was gone? Who would scratch behind his ears now? Who would throw his ball and watch him run clumsily after it? Who would give him his favorite treats and praise him for being a good boy? He didn't want to live without John. Yet there was no choice. Life is never fair, and this was just the way it had to be. Tom struggled to his feet, shaking off the sadness that threatened to pull him down. With a deep breath, he stepped out the door and into the deepening twilight. All around him, the forest whispered of secrets, and shadows danced at the edge of his vision. Fear pricked at him, but he pressed on. He walked into the woods, deeper and deeper, until the tall trunks of the trees blotted out the last sliver of daylight. The wind sighed through the branches, and the only sounds that reached his old ears were the distant cawing of crows and the scurrying of small animals in the undergrowth. The trees grew thicker, their branches interlaced overhead to form a leafy canopy that kept the moon's pale light from reaching the forest floor. And then he saw it. A clearing bathed in silver moonlight. In the center stood an ancient oak, its gnarled branches reaching toward the sky like the arms of a benevolent giant. Beneath its protective shade lay a carpet of soft, fragrant moss. It was a place of peace, a place where even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Tom felt an overwhelming urge to go there, to rest his weary bones beneath the sheltering branches of the ancient tree. He hadn't planned to go this far into the woods. He knew he shouldn't go any further, but something was drawing him in, calling to him with an irresistible summons. Something important awaited him in the clearing, something that promised peace. As he took another step into the circle of moonlight, a deer emerged from the shadows. It stood there for a moment, its eyes wide and shining in the darkness, before bounding away silently. A wise old owl hooted softly from a branch above, and a family of field mice scurried away, their tiny hearts hammering in their chests. Tom didn't chase them. He was too tired to chase anything. He didn't even bark. He simply stood there watching them go, a faint smile touching his lips. He walked slowly to the base of the oak tree and lowered himself to the ground. His body ached with weariness, and he closed his eyes, savoring the cool touch of the moss beneath him. The wind whispered through the leaves overhead, singing a song of ages past, and Tom listened, his heart growing lighter with each passing moment. The forest was alive with sounds, the rustling of leaves, the chatter of crickets, the hoot of an owl, the distant call of a coyote. Yet somehow he heard them all, every whisper and rustle, and he felt a strange sense of kinship with these creatures of the night. They too were part of the forest, just as he had been part of John's life. The cold air grew colder, but Tom didn't feel it. His body was still, his breathing shallow and slow. As the minutes passed, the sounds of the forest faded into a gentle hum, and the darkness deepened until it was all-encompassing. The clearing, the tree, the moon, the stars, all became a part of the endless night. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, the night ended. The first rays of sunlight touched the clearing, painting it in hues of gold and crimson. The birds awoke and began their cheerful song. The deer returned, its coat gleaming in the morning light, and the wise old owl blinked sleepily from its branch, stretching its feathered wings. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, the clearing filled with the sound of bird song, and the sweet scent of wildflowers carried on the breeze. The deer, unafraid, approached Tom and sniffed him gently, as if to make sure he was real. Then it turned and bounded away, disappearing into the trees. The old dog stirred, his eyes opening slowly to the bright light. He blinked, his gaze falling on the deer, who stood there watching him, its head cocked in curiosity. The deer took a step back, its ears pricked, and then it was gone, vanished into the thick undergrowth. Tom tried to rise, but his legs buckled beneath him and he collapsed back onto the moss. He felt a strange lightness in his chest. As if something had lifted and left him weak, he whimpered softly, his gaze fixed on the spot where the deer had disappeared. The forest was alive with the sounds of the day. Birds sang merrily in the trees. Squirrels chattered as they scampered up and down the trunks, and the gentle murmur of a nearby stream was like a soothing balm to Tom's weary ears. The sun warmed his old bones, and he felt a deep sense of peace settle over him. As the hours passed, he felt his eyelids growing heavy. The sounds of the forest faded into a gentle hum, and the warmth of the sun lulled him into a state of blissful relaxation. He closed his eyes, his head resting against the rough bark of the oak tree, and drifted into a deep slumber. When the sun dipped below the horizon, the forest came alive with the sounds of the night. Crickets chirped, owls hooted, and the wind rustled through the leaves. Yet Tom slept on, oblivious to the symphony of nocturnal sounds. As the moon climbed higher in the sky, its pale light bathed the clearing in a silvery glow. The shadows of the trees danced and twisted on the ground, creating a mesmerizing pattern of light and dark. And as the night deepened, the temperature dropped, sending a shiver through the forest. But Tom was warm. He snuggled deeper into the crook of the oak tree's roots, his fur ruffled, and his breath coming in soft, even breaths. The forest was quiet now. The nocturnal symphony hushed, and the only sound was the gentle beating of Tom's heart. The old dog slept on, his dreams filled with the scent of wildflowers and the sound of his master's voice. He dreamed of chasing rabbits through fields of tall grass and swimming in icy streams, his tail wagging furiously. He dreamed of being young and strong again, his fur sleek and shiny, his eyes bright and full of mischief. And as he dreamed, the forest held its breath, watching over him, protecting him until the first rays of sunlight touched his fur and woke him from his slumber. The sun, a golden orb, climbed higher in the sky, casting long shadows across the clearing. The birds sang sweetly in the trees, and the gentle murmur of the nearby stream was like a soothing melody to Tom's ears. He stretched, his old bones creaking, and yawned, revealing a pink tongue and teeth worn smooth with age. He looked around the clearing, his gaze lingering on the majestic oak tree, and felt a sense of peace settle over him. With a final glance at the tree, Tom got to his feet, his legs stiff from lying on the cold ground all night. He shook his fur, sending a shower of leaves and twigs fluttering to the ground, and started to walk away from the clearing. The forest, alive with the sounds of the day, seemed to welcome him as he moved through it, his steps lighter than they had been in days. He walked on, his nose twitching at the scent of pine needles and damp earth, his ears perked at the sound of a distant woodpecker, and as the sun climbed higher in the sky, he disappeared into the trees, leaving the clearing to the watchful gaze of the oak. The forest was silent now, the birds hushed, and the wind still. Only the rustling of leaves broke the silence, and the ancient oak stood there, its branches reaching toward the sky, a silent sentinel guarding the secrets of the clearing. The deer reappeared, its coat gleaming in the afternoon light, and stood there for a long moment, as if paying tribute to the old dog who had found peace beneath its sheltering branches. Then it, too, disappeared into the trees, leaving the clearing to the embrace of the endless woods.